Stepping onto Socotra Island is like setting foot on an alien landscape.
Could it be that one of Minnesota's oldest natural mystery is about to be solved?
Located in Madagascar is a forest unlike any other. Because if you look closely, this forest is made of stone.
What would it feel like to live in a world with boiling rivers, floating mountains, and glowing water?
Salar de Uyuni is one of these amazing places. It is a place called the mirror of the earth.
What if you didn't have to wonder anymore? What if this is the world that we live in?
Extreme heat and cold is the land of many mysteries. One of them seems to be solved at last.
These places are not just the stuff of dreams or fiction. These landscapes truly do exist on Earth. They are our reality.
This is the Eternal Flame Falls at Chestnut Ridge Park in Orchard Park.
Today, we are going to look into these breathtaking destinations that challenge our perception of reality. So let's get in. Number 1, the boiling river. In the Amazon, there is a boiling river that is more of a nature's own hot tub. This boiling river, also known as Shanai Timpishka, is about 4 miles long and as wide as a 2-lane road. In some places, it's up to 16 feet deep. But what makes it truly extraordinary is its temperature. The river's water hovers around a staggering 186 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough to cook an animal. The extreme heat is believed to come from geothermal sources deep within the earth. It's not just a scientific oddity, it also has religious value for local indigenous tribes and has been a part of their cultural and spiritual practices for centuries.
The area is inhabited by an Ashananka community. Local shamans believe that the boiling water is birthed by Yukamama, a giant serpent spirit known as the Mother of the Waters,
serving as a symbol in their shamanic traditions. Number 2, Sargasso Sea. The Sargasso Sea is known for its floating seaweed called sargassum. But what's so unique about it? Unlike other seaweeds that grow on the ocean floor, sargassum floats freely and reproduces while drifting through the open sea. It's the only seaweed that does this, which makes the Sargasso Sea a special place. This floating seaweed creates a floating habitat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
It's actually a very special place, and it's on the list of places to be protected.
Do you know who loves this special seaweed? The turtles. Turtles love the sargassum mats because they serve as a safe haven for hatchlings, giving both food and protection. Shrimp, crabs, fish, and various other sea creatures have adapted to thrive in this floating algae. What's really cool about the Sargasso Sea is that it's defined not by land, but by ocean currents. Number 3, Lake Natron. A lake that turns animals into stone? Seems impossible, right? But it's not as far-fetched as you think. Lake Natron in Tanzania is one of Africa's most peaceful spots.
It is quite shallow, less than 3 meters deep, and varies in width depending on its water level.
But it's also the backdrop for some of the most eerie photos you'll ever see. The images show animals that appear to have turned into stone. This eerie effect is due to the lake's extremely alkaline water, which has a pH as high as 10.5. It's so caustic that it can burn the skin and eyes of any animal not adapted to its harsh conditions. The lake's water is loaded with sodium carbonate and other minerals that come from the surrounding hills. Another interesting fact, sodium carbonate, which was famously used in ancient Egyptian mummification, acts as a natural preservative. So when animals die in Lake Natron, their remains often end up with a chalky, stone-like coating that gives them that eerie, petrified look. Number 4, the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the most infamous and mysterious places on the planet. Despite just being a simple triangle drawn between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, it has caused much alarm. The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle, has earned its reputation for being strange and unexplained. And all this began when reports of ships and aircraft disappearing without a trace started appearing.
Why have so many ships come to grief in these crystal clear seas, so close to land?
Some say it's a place where the laws of physics don't seem to work, with theories ranging from magnetic anomalies that mess with navigation instruments to underwater alien bases that play tricks on our minds. Others point to natural explanations like sudden storms or methane gas eruptions that could sink ships in a matter of moments. But what really goes on in the Bermuda Triangle, we are just as clueless as you are. Number 5. Petrifying Well. One of England's oldest visitor attractions, the Petrifying Well, turns everyday objects into stones. Yes, you heard that right. This place has been a tourist spot since 1630.
And tours conducted around it in 1630. For centuries, people came to the well.
The side of the well even looks like a giant's skull. You drop a teddy bear into the water, leave it for a few months, and go back. You will find it transformed into stone. But no, it's not magic, although people used to believe that. It's actually a natural process where water with super high mineral content evaporates, leaving a stony coating behind. Number 6. Lake Baikal. Now let's talk about the oldest, deepest, and clearest lake on Earth, Lake Baikal in Siberia, Russia. It's 5,315 feet deep and stretches 395 miles long. This lake has been around for 25 to 30 million years, and it holds about 23% of the world's fresh surface water, more than all of North America's Great Lakes combined. Plus, the lake is surrounded by beautiful mountains and taiga forests. It has water so clear you can see 40 meters down. Truly a bucket list destination, don't you think? And did I mention the lake was formed by a rift in the Earth's crust that's still expanding? What's the first thing you'd do if you got the chance to visit? Number 7. Blood falls. You might have seen lots of waterfalls, but have you seen any that look like they are bleeding? No? Well, you may know. We are talking about blood falls, which is one of Antarctica's most bizarre and mind-blowing sights. It is a glacier with a stream of deep, red water gushing out. The first person to discover blood falls thought it was red algae causing the color. But thanks to modern science, we now know it's all about that iron. It is actually iron-rich salt water that turns red when it hits the air. The water is coming from a subglacial lake trapped under Taylor Glacier. That certainly is cool. The water is super salty, and because of all the iron in it, it looks like the glacier is bleeding.
Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys is not a waterfall of blood as its name might suggest. It's actually a flow of highly iron-rich brine that gets its red color from iron oxide.
Number 8. Fingal's Cave. On the uninhabited island of Staffa, in the Inner Hebrides of Scotland, you will find the Fingal's Cave, which is known for its natural acoustics. You might be wondering, what makes this place so special? Well, it's the hexagonal basalt columns that make up its walls, formed millions of years ago from cooling lava. These columns create a beautiful natural cathedral, complete with acoustics that will leave you in awe. Just like we have weird theories for most of the wonders, we have one for Fingal's Cave too. The ancient Celts believed that this cave was once part of a bridge built by the giant Fionn MacCumhail. Sounds familiar? It's connected to the Giant's Causeway in Ireland, and these two mythical places might have been linked by a single lava flow. Number 9. White Sands of New Mexico. The White Sands National Park is located in New Mexico. This landscape is made of pure white gypsum sands. The shimmering white dunes cover 275 square miles. But how did these dunes get here? It's all due to the surrounding mountains. Over millions of years, they eroded, and gypsum was carried into the Tularosa Basin, forming the world's largest gypsum dune field. These dunes are alive, constantly shifting and moving, sometimes up to 30 feet a year. What's really wild is that despite the harsh conditions, life thrives here. You'll find light-colored lizards and mice perfectly camouflaged against the white sand. The park is encircled by the White Sands Missile Range. Peaceful and pristine, what would you say? Number 10. Cave of Crystals. Giant Crystal Cave in Naica, Chihuahua, Mexico is truly a treat to the eyes. The crystals here are as big as houses. These structures are over 37 feet tall, weighing around 12 tons.
And for these crystals to have gotten as big as they are, they had to have been growing for hundreds of thousands of years.
They were discovered by chance in 2000, but the cave's so hot that the temperature goes up to 136 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can only survive inside for about 10 minutes without protection. But what makes these crystals grow so huge? Scientists believe it's the mineral-rich water and the intense heat. The crystals grew slowly over hundreds of thousands of years in this perfect, albeit extreme environment. Number 11. The Giant's Causeway. On the northeast coast of Ireland, you will see the Giant's Causeway, which is an ancient marvel of about 40,000 interlocking basalt columns that seem almost too perfect to be real. These hexagonal stones are giant stepping stones that lead straight into the sea. But wait, do you think this was just the work of molten rock and time? It is believed that these stones were laid down by the giant Fionn McCumhile as a bridge to Scotland.
Scientists have another explanation for the rock formations, however. They say that the causeway formed 50 to 60 million years ago.
As you walk along this coastline, you'll see why it's been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1986. Number 12. Eternal Flame Falls. We all know that water and fire are mutually destructive, but Eternal Flame Falls says the opposite.
This is the Eternal Flame Falls at Chestnut Ridge Park in Orchard Park.
Located in the Shale Creek Preserve, a section of Chestnut Ridge Park in western New York, you will see a small, flickering flame nestled in a grotto behind a 35-foot waterfall, burning bright almost year-round. Scientists thought this flame was fueled by ancient gas seeping from deep within the earth. But when they checked, the bedrock wasn't hot enough to produce all that gas. So, what's really keeping this flame alive? Number 13. Mirror of the Earth. The Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia is the world's largest salt flat and is said to be the mirror of the Earth. This salt flat covers 10,000 square kilometers and is located at an elevation of 3,656 meters above sea level.
The area has a relatively stable average temperature with a peak at 21 degrees Celsius from November to January and a low of 13 degrees Celsius in June.
From November to March, the salt flat transforms into a colossal mirror that perfectly reflects the sky above. No horizon, just you, the sky, and an infinite reflection. One possible explanation for this landscape is the transformation between prehistoric lakes that existed almost 40,000 years ago, but are now believed to have evaporated. Number 14. Antelope Canyon. If we talk about the most photographed slot canyon, it has to be the Antelope Canyon, nestled on Navajo land in Arizona. This narrow canyon is surrounded by walls that twist and turn like ribbons of sandstone. The colors range from deep reds to golden oranges, all glowing under the sunlight that seeps through narrow cracks above. Upper Antelope Canyon, or Che Bighanilini in Navajo, means the place where water runs through rocks. And that's exactly how these slot canyons were formed, by flash floods carving through Navajo sandstone over thousands of years. Number 15. Floating mountains. Floating pillar-like mountains are one of the weirdest yet mesmerizing creatures. These towering pillars might look like they're part of a classic karst landscape made by man, but no. They're not formed by dissolving limestone. They're sculpted by physical erosion over many years. So how do these formations get this look? It's all the work of the area's moist, foggy weather and the action of expanding ice in the winter. And you must be thinking about whether we can get to the top of it. Number 16. The Fly Geyser Fountain. In the Nevada desert, you will see the Fly Geyser. Located about 20 miles north of Gerlach, Fly Geyser is a man-made creation that stands 5 feet tall and 12 feet wide. It all started in 1916 when a well was drilled for irrigation. Instead of water, they accidentally hit geothermal springs, which lead to the formation of a 10-12-foot calcium carbonate cone. An accidental creation? Seems too good to be true, right? Well, over time, it evolved into the geyser we see today.
The terraces are formed from the continuous deposition of minerals as the hot water flows down and evaporates, leaving behind colorful layers of minerals that give the geyser its otherworldly appearance.
In 2016, the Burning Man project bought the 3 800-acre fly ranch, including the geyser, for $6.5 million. Number 17, Wai-O-Tapu. Let's talk about Wai-O-Tapu, or Sacred Waters in Maori, which is more of a geothermal paradise just south of Rotorua. Wai-O-Tapu is a beautiful geothermal area with a colorful array of hot springs, geysers, and boiling mud pools. It covers 18 square kilometers, and this landscape is a result of volcanic activity. One of the highlights here is the Lady Knox Geyser, which erupts daily at 10:15 a.m. The area has been a popular tourist spot since 1931 and is now managed under the name Wai-O-Tapu Thermal Wonderland. Number 18, Magnetic Hill in Moncton. Magnetic Hill, Mystery Spot, Gravity Road, or Anti-Gravity Hill. We are talking about a hill in the northwest area of Moncton that defies gravity. If you drive to the bottom of this hill, put your car in neutral and hold on, your car starts rolling uphill. Sounds unreal, right? Well, it's not. It's actually an optical illusion created by the terrain. The hill's slope tricks your eyes and makes it look like a steep incline when it's actually flat.
And now we're going to go into neutral. And then we're supposed to take our foot off the brake at the post.
The magnetic hill has confused visitors since the early 1800s and gained a lot of popularity in the 1950s. Number 19, Salar de Atacama. A salt flat? We are not talking about just any salt flat. This is Salar de Atacama, Chile's largest and third largest salt flat in the world. Located 55 kilometers south of San Pedro de Atacama, this area is surrounded by mountains. To the east, it's bordered by the Andes, and to the west by the Cordillera de Domeco. Covering 3,000 square kilometers, the Salar de Atacama holds 27% of the world's lithium reserves.
This is where the sourcing of that really valuable mineral, lithium, begins.
Which makes rechargeable batteries important for smartphones and electric cars. Number 20, Blue Pond. The Shiragan Blue Pond in Biei, Hokkaido, Japan is so vividly blue that it looks almost otherworldly. This is actually a man-made pond that was originally created as a protective measure after Mount Takachi's 1988 eruption. But what makes it attractive is its blue color. The Biei River's water is blue because of a mix of elements. It is rich in sulfur and aluminum from nearby hot springs and waterfalls, which combine to form colloidal particles. These particles scatter sunlight so that blue light dominates, making the pond look almost like a piece of sky come to life. Number 21. Victoria Falls, the Devil's Pool. Victoria Falls is Africa's most beautiful landmark and the world's largest sheet of falling water. Straddling Zambia and Zimbabwe, the Zambezi River plunges into a 105-meter chasm. It flows up to 500,000 cubic meters, 110 million gallons, per minute. The mist can rise 500 meters high.
A pool of calm water that daredevil swimmers risk for a glimpse into the bottomless canyon below.
Locally known as Mosi Oatunya, meaning smoke that thunders. Then there is Devil's Pool, on the Zambian side of Victoria Falls, which is a 3-meter deep natural pool separated from the waters by a narrow rock lip. Number 22, The limestone forest. Next up is the limestone forests thriving on limestone ground, whose soils are actually shallow, with a pH of 7 to 8, neutral to mildly alkaline. What's interesting about these forests is that they're nutrient-poor, high in calcium carbonate, and very well drained. These forests are full of sinkholes and caves that make perfect homes for crabs and swiftlets. And did you know that in Guam, limestone forests cover 33% of the land? That's 70% of the island's forests. But how did these forests form? Well, volcanic eruptions created southern Guam 56 million years ago, while the northern part came from another volcano. After the eruptions, coral reefs took over and their skeletons turned into limestone. At the same time, rainwater and carbon dioxide worked together to carve out amazing features like caves and sinkholes over thousands of years. Number 23. Sea of Stars. If you have not ever heard of the Sea of Stars in the Maldives, you are missing out seriously, because it's such a breathtaking sight that it would leave anyone astonished. During late summer, the water lights up with tiny glowing creatures called bioluminescent phytoplankton. Yes, the sea shimmers with blue light like it's filled with stars.
Some of the most spectacular photographs have been captured from one location, Vadu Island, Maldives.
These little organisms, called Lingulodinium polyedrum, glow when the waves disturb them and create a magical, starry display along the shoreline. You will actually find your footprints leaving a glowing trail on the beach. Dip your toe in and see how it swirls like a galaxy. Number 24. Fairy circles. Fairy circles. These are mysterious, circular patches of land found in the Namib Desert in southern Africa and Australia's Pilbara region. These circles are between 2 and 12 meters wide, with no plants inside, but surrounded by a ring of green grass. That's truly interesting, right? But what is this phenomenon? Or maybe some scientific explanation? While scientists are still somewhat puzzled, there are different theories. Some think termites might be munching on these plant roots, which affects their water distribution.
To test this theory, the scientists would have to collect termites and transport them to spots without circles to see if new circles form.
Others believe the grasses are just smart, forming circles to use the scarce water more efficiently. Number 25. The Devil's Kettle. Next up is a mystery that has kept visitors confused for years. Yes, we are talking about the Devil's Kettle waterfall in Judge C.R. Magny State Park, Minnesota. The Brule River splits at a huge rock. One side tumbles 50 feet over a cliff, while the other plunges into a deep, mysterious hole. But where does the water go? People have tossed ping-pong balls, GPS trackers, and dyes into the hole, but nothing ever reappeared. Number 26. Racetrack Playa's Moving Rock. The Racetrack Playa, or the Racetrack, is located above the northwestern side of Death Valley in Death Valley National Park, Inyo County, California, US. The prominent feature of this dry lake is sailing stones. Yes, you heard that right. There are hundreds of rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds, that leave long trails across a dry lake bed.
But until recently, nobody had been able to prove what actually makes the stones move. Richard Norris says the phenomenon had fascinated him for a while.
They seem to sail without any visible force. There's nothing paranormal, it's just the rare weather conditions. After it rains, a thin layer of water covers the playa. At night, this water freezes into a thin layer of ice. On sunny days, the ice breaks into panels. Light winds push these panels, nudge the rocks, and create those trails. Number 27. Socotra Island. The Alien Beauty. Socotra Island is a place that represents 95% of the landmass of the Socotra archipelago. It is an isolated archipelago about 250 miles off the coast of Yemen. Socotra is the largest of 4 islands, including Abd al-Kuri, Samha, and Darsa, with a third of its plant life found nowhere else on the plain. It has such a distinct flora and fauna that 90% of its reptile species, 37% of Socotra's plant species, and 95% of its land snail species are not found anywhere else in the world.
Perhaps the most head-turning of Socotra's species is the dragon's blood tree. These strange umbrella-shaped trees dot the island.
It's so cut off from the world, you might think you've stepped into another universe. Number 28, crooked trees. The crooked forest in Poland is a grove of 400 pine trees, each one bending sharply at its base before growing straight up. This forest is literally full of J-shaped trees. These pines are located near the town of Gryfino, West Pomerania, in northwestern Poland, and were planted around 1930. So what caused these trees to grow so oddly? Some believe local farmers intentionally bent them to create curved timber for furniture or carts. Others think heavy snow might have caused the bending, but why didn't other plants around them bend too? Number 29. Mount Roraima. Mount Roraima stands at 9,094 feet and is located at the junction of Brazil, Guyana, and Venezuela. It is a giant, flat-topped mountain that was formed about 1.7 to 2 billion years ago and hence amongst the oldest rocks on Earth. But there are practically no animals on the top of Mount Roraima, as the environment is too inhospitable and there is essentially no food. Mount Roraima is home to plants and animals that can't be found anywhere else. It's also the source of rivers that feed into the Amazon and Orinoco systems. So, these were the top 30 scientifically impossible places that actually exist on our planet. While some of them have solid scientific explanations, others are still a mystery to us. Which one of these fascinates you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.